Hey guys, welcome back. This is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you for joining me here on day 464 of doing these lives. I am delighted as always to be here, to be able to pour another couple of nuggets into your current day. Let me just first ask, how was your day? How is your day going? How is your family? How is everyone doing? Is everyone keeping safe? I do pray for all of you on a regular basis and just encourage you to stay encouraged as the things that we're going through in life. I'm just going to ask you not to try not to look ahead of what's in front of you, but try to look up. Just look at God and just know that God has a better plan of action for all of the things that we're going through. And as the Bible says, this too shall pass, saith the Lord. So nothing ever stays the same for long. Of course, my heart goes out to all of the families that has lost loved ones, and but you will always hear me say that things never, ever, ever happen by chance. Things are never a mistake. You know, there's a reason for everything, and everything is under a certain control. So, as much as we're going through and facing these things right now, I'm just going to encourage you to stay encouraged and just do what you need to do to keep your family protected. But remember, nothing in life lasts forever. Nothing lasts but a good salvation. I tell you time and time again, people will always disappoint us, but God will never disappoint us. He'll always be here with us until the very end. Hi, Damon. How are you? How are you with all of your hearts, as always? You are so encouraging, Damon. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you more than you know. Okino, I think I saw you log on. Welcome. Thank you for joining as well. And whoever else logs on later on, they'll just play catch up. So as you guys know, I've been speaking from a book titled 3 Steps to a Strong Family. And the reason why I segued into this direction, I wanted to do a segment on this particular topic because we don't want to ignore what our children are facing, especially in this day and age. What we are going through, my heart goes out because I won't be on this earth for long, right? Many of us that are older won't be on this earth for long, but our children are going to have to succumb to many things that are going on right now in our society. So what better way to bridge the gap by just trying to gain a better understanding of how they can better control the things that are going on in and around them. Now, remember, I am doing the teachings, but you guys have to do your part as far as sharing the information that I teach. And that's basically going to be sharing the live because as you know, or may not know by now, I don't tag anyone in my lives because I truly believe, hello, Michael Rose, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Because I truly believe that whoever is going to be on my live, God is sending them to me. I'm not going to go seeking these people out. So it's going to be up to you to share the words of wisdom that I speak on because that's the way that the people in your circle are going to have gain a better understanding of some of the topics that I'm discussing. And so I don't know if you guys have children. It doesn't matter. A lot of the subject I speak on, it basically is just to cover you and also cover the people in your circle. So if you are truly a person that has a heart of gold and you want to make sure that other people are succeeding, whether it's something for you at the moment, it really doesn't matter because we're not here on this earth for us. We're on this earth for someone else. So I'm going to ask that you share it with someone else. So as I mentioned, I'm doing this next segment, which is I want to say this is my 4th day of doing this, right? This next segment, uncovering some tidbits from the book from Stephen Covey, which is titled The 3 Steps to a Strong Family. What I did over the first couple of days, the first day I gave you an overview. The second day I'm speaking on the whys, okay? Why number 1, why number 2, and tonight we're talking about why number 3. So I mentioned to many of you that may not be aware in life, you go through things and you set goals and expectation for yourself and the people around you. And what is your ultimate driving tool that gives you that oomph, right? That force, that ability to continue moving on and moving ahead and pressing through the steams, pressing through the smoke, right? What gives you that drive to be able to continue to go on every day? in spite of the things that happens around you. As you know, the world will crumble around you. People are going to crumble around you. People come into your life for a season and a reason. They're never there for a long time, right? So as I told somebody before, I told someone that I care about before, I said to them, listen, I'm not going to rest myself on the things that are happening around me. You know what? Because I'm not going to rest my hat there, because I know that my life is going to continue to change. But I take it for what it is, and I learn the lessons that I need to learn from it. And then I keep stepping in the right direction, knowing that God has a different plan and a better purpose for me, right? So what I'm going to do is speak with you guys tonight on the third why. And I say all that to say is that when your why basically is something that you truly, truly believe in, that you will just go over and beyond to accomplish that goal, because your why is so strong, right? So if you set a goal, you have to have something back in it that's going to give you enough drive and push to be able to say, you know what, I have to turn over my bed one more time. Because if I don't turn over one more time, I'm not going to be able to accomplish a goal that I need to accomplish for that particular person or that particular reason, right? So we're going to talk about the third why here. And then after we talk about the third why, I'm going to go into some do's and don'ts. And then as you see me flowing through this, you'll get a better understanding of what Stephen Covey is talking about. If you're catching my live in the middle of the series, you're going to have to go back to the beginning so you gain a little bit of understanding of what I'm talking about, because I don't want to repeat what I've already said in the previous lives. I'm sure you guys understand that, right? So the third why is our society. So what does our society look like, right? Well, it's faced with a bunch of deteriorating values, right? A lot of confusion, confusing morality, because this is what our children basically are seeing on a regular basis. They don't know any different. They have to be taught different. And when we don't have that grounding and that foundation, I spoke yesterday about having a foundation, because you can't build a house on sand. You have to have some kind of foundation. If you build a house on the sand, what's going to happen? Everything is going to crumble down. So you have to make sure it's very stable and you're very grounded, right? So because of this, our children needs to be able to depend on our family to be three things. Number one, our children have to depend on our families to be reliable, right? How reliable are you to your children? Do you say what you are? Do you tell them something and go back on it, or do you actually tell them something and you follow through with it? Right? That's super important. Actually, there's only two reasons, and the second, is no, there is three. The second one is predictable, and it's predictable and also insecure. So they really don't have anything secure to fall back on. You know, they go based on what they learn from us, and they go based on what they see in the media, and sometimes they go based on what they see from their friends, right? And you all know that the second two reasons are not the most valuable reasons. So who else are they going to get the quality information from? We have to make sure that we are setting them up for success. So whenever they have those questions and those uncomfortable moments, they can come back to you and say, listen, mommy, listen, daddy, I saw these things happen out there. These people was telling me this, but is this really true? Can this really happen? Is there a better way that you have to teach me how to do this? And they're going to rely on you, but you have to make sure that you are establishing that sound relationship between you and them, because if you don't, then they're not going to have anything to fall back on. They're going to try to fall back, but when you are giving them that resistance, that's going to allow them to push away. There's not going to be that bond and that protection that you really, really desire to have between your children. And then when later on life comes later on in life, and you look back and you say, but wait a minute, what happened? I don't understand what happened. I thought I did No, there are some missing links that did not occur that continue to create the bond that you needed with your children, right? So what are adults feeling as an adult? What is it that you're feeling as an adult? I told you yesterday, I said, listen, as an adult, if we are feeling right now questionable with the things that are happening around us, can you imagine our own children and what's going through their minds right now, right? The reason I'm covering this, guys, is because we're at home now more than ever. And people always say, I don't have time. You know, when I go to train someone, they're like, I don't have time to work out. All right. I don't have time to eat right. All right. And you know, these things I'm speaking about, by the way, are my specialty. I am a holistic and wellness transformational coach. So that's what I do. I've been there, done that. I've have experiences over the past 30 years training and teaching people fitness and teaching them about nutrition and mind. So when I ask them these things and they say, I don't have time, I look at them with my head cocked sideways and I say, listen, when is it going to be the best time? Because guess what? Like I told you yesterday, listen, when Monday passes, there's nothing you can do about Monday. Monday is gone. You can't recreate Monday. You can't bring it back and do the things you did on Monday. It's finished. So we're progressing forward in life. So what are you going to do with the time that you have now so you can create a difference in the future, right? So as an adult, basically, we are frustrated. I don't know about you. Do you get frustrated sometimes? Damon, do you get frustrated? Michael, do you get frustrated? Do you get frustrated with the things that you see around you? Do you get frustrated because you feel like you can't really do anything? You don't really understand things? Adults get frustrated. And they also get swallowed up by the bureaucratic and competitive pressures of life, right? And there's also social problems beyond our control. There's many things that are outside of our control. But I'm going to encourage you guys that when you stand firm on your faith and you have a belief, you have to have a belief in something. I believe in Christ, all right? So when you stand firm and just hold your feet to the ground, you will find that the things that you want of life, you will get a clearer understanding, because now you're going to be able to see through things that's happening, and you're going to stay out of the physical and make sure you go into the spiritual. And that's when you're going to start to see things even clearer than the people that are around you, right? So be careful of how well, be cognizant, should I say, of how well you're staying grounded. Hi, Willie. Thanks for joining. Welcome. Thank you. So what are adults crying out for? Adults are always crying out for things, you know, just like our children. Our children are also always starving for our attention. And the reason is because that there are many things in life that they don't necessarily understand. And when they don't understand it, we have to be able to guide them. But when we don't have the understanding as adults, how are we going to guide them through certain things, right? So we have to make sure that we as adults are just grounded ourselves, because we can't teach something that we don't necessarily know. And it's okay for us as adults to ask questions. Sometimes we feel we should know everything, right? We don't have all the answers. You know, even me at the age that I am, I still seek to my parents. I go to them for wisdom because I know that they've been on this earth much longer than I have and have experienced many things. So likewise, our children, a lot of times you'll see that they won't necessarily lean on you and ask you certain things, right? Number one, we're not in their age bracket. And number two, they feel that we don't know what we're talking about. But like I said, a child, when they grow up, the only time that they start to mature in life is when they're at the age, at least of the age of 25 years of age. If they're below 25 years of age, they think they have all the answers, but I'm here to tell you, I did a live several months ago. I remember this is live number 464 for me right now, consistently since January the 1st of 2019. But several lives ago, I spoke on the brain, and I shared with you guys that the brain, I spoke about different regions of the brain, okay? And if you don't know, the brain, the frontal region, which is right here, this doesn't develop until the age of 25. So when you have a child that's below the age of 25 and they're looking at you and saying, Mommy, I don't think you understand how I'm feeling, just smile with them and just stroke them and say, you know, honey, okay, all right. Because they feel like they have all the answers, but they don't necessarily have all the answers. You have to still be there to hold them up. So now more than ever, based on everything that we're going through, I want you to understand that the relationship that you develop with your children, it has to be one that's getting stronger if it wasn't already strong. If they're young adults, then as they get older, you're going to have to work even harder, because like I said yesterday, there's a saying that says, you know, you can't bend a tree. You have to bend a tree when it's young. It's a saying we have in Jamaica. You have to bend the tree when it's young. It may basically mean you train up a child the way you want the child to be. You train up the child and you have the child becoming your sister, and not your sister, but your friend, and you're looking at them as though they're friends with you. Then guess what? You have now disregarded the leverage and the room that you have to discipline them the right way, so that they, number one, respect you, and number two, they listen to you. But you have to earn the whole listening piece of it, because they're not going to just listen to you arbitrarily, right? you have to have a sound relationship with them so they can trust and believe in you and come back every single time. So what are adults crying out for? Basically the need of being able to concentrate and focus on something that we can influence. And as you know, many adults, they often want to control everything, right? I have clients who always want to take control on my table. And I tell them, I say, listen, there's two ways we're going to do this. When you're here with me, I'm in control, right? And the reason is if you don't relinquish control to me, then I can't work on you and I can't allow my expertise to work on those muscles that I know is going to end up relieving something else. And if you're joining me for the first time, Mr. Michael, I don't remember if you've been on before. My profession right now is in the spa industry. So I'm a massage therapist, a sports therapist, and many other things. But that's what I'm referring to right now. So if you don't relinquish control in that particular situation, then it's a little bit hard for you to gain the results that you need. Because if you're always trying to take control and don't let go, you'll never open up your mind to new experiences and a new way of doing things in society, right? So basically, our adults are crying out for the need to be able to able to concentrate and focus on something that we can influence. Also, we have our family, we have our children that we need to keep into consideration with that as we're going through this whole process, right? So based on this, the results that I just spoke on, we will receive this as a family. Here are 3 things that you'll receive as a family. If you're joining me right now in the middle of the live, I am covering the 3 steps to a strong family based on Stephen Covey. So if you catch me now and you're like, what is she talking about? That's what I'm referring to right now. All right. So based on the items that I just spoke on, here are 3 things I want you to consider that we will receive as a family as a result of us doing the things that I just mentioned. The first thing is a family with simple laws. As you know, I spoke in the 3 nights ago, because we're on this segment. This is our 4th night on this segment. I spoke that we have laws in life. We have laws of the government. We have laws of, what was the other one? Laws of ourselves, right? Our family. And there's another one. Can't remember what the other one is. But the family laws that we create will allow us to end up creating a structure that we need. Hello, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome. So we have simple family laws. And when you establish laws are meant to create structures, right? Because in life, if we don't have some form of a structure, then everything will go haywire. Can you imagine running this country and we don't have any kind of rules or no laws or anything? If you just drive on the highway, you have no speed limit. Oh my gosh, everybody would just do everything they want to do. They wouldn't pay attention to nothing. They'll just run rampant, just confused, all right? And I'm here to say, unfortunately, some people right now are very confused, even with the laws. So can you imagine without the laws? So we need family laws, and we also need shared responsibilities. So basically in a family, as you're trying to bond, you don't want one person just doing every single thing, right? You want to make sure that you have shared responsibilities, because what that's going to do for your children is going to help them to feel more appreciated, because now as they're progressing and growing through life, they get that sense of, oh my goodness, my parents really trusted me with this. I think it was 2 nights ago, I shared a little story with you about the young girl that was 6 years old, and her mother gave her a checkbook, right? And she was ecstatic because now she looked at it and she said, oh my gosh, I can write checks and I can learn to understand, how to balance my checkbook. And, maybe if the check didn't go through, what happened? Unfortunately, some of the basic things in life that we need to teach our children, we have not done that. All right. And so we're expecting them to automatically grow up and learn this. But what's going to happen is they're going to leave the household. They're going to learn it from somebody else. And they're going to come back and look at you like, Mom, Dad, you didn't prepare me for life. What's going on? I know the school teach them certain things, but for me, in my eyes, I don't feel that the school necessarily teach them some of the basics that they need to understand. Teaching them trigonometry and chemistry, and they're going into a whole creative field that maybe they don't use those formulas, it's besides the point. So why is it that the child is spending all these exorbitant amount of money to have these tuition? Again, it's a part of the setup, I'm here to tell you. And then you have these loans trailing them back in you, and you're going and you go into the field and you can't even find a job, right? And then you have to pay back that big old loan that you have. Now you don't even understand the education I just got. I don't even know what I got out of this because I can't even use it on the basic everyday life. So what purpose does it serve me, right? So this young lady got a checkbook. She now understood how to write her own checks and do things like that. And she was looking at some other kids in high school. And what happens is these children were receiving credit cards and had balances on their credit card. And what she recognized was that now they're walking around with balances. They spent money that didn't belong to them, when in fact she was able to use her checkbook, save her money, and have something to fall back on, and not necessarily something she had to pay back on, if that makes sense to you, right? So I share that with you. So it gives them a sense of shared responsibility and also uniting traditions. We spoke on traditions yesterday, and I shared with you that if you have not established some form of traditions with your children, it's never too late, because what these children do is they look back and they say, man, I remember when I was younger and we did this. This was so much fun. And the example that I gave you was, let's say you set up a tent in your living room and you guys did camping in the living room. Years that goes by and they look back, they're going to say, I remember the time when my parents did this with me. And I'm going to try the same thing, if not something a little bit different, with a little different spark. But at least what that does, it gives them ideas of things that we did growing up, so that they can establish the same in their own household and create those memories that they need, right? So this will allow our children to to get known in the world, right? Sometimes it's dependable in our, I don't know what I put here. I'm trying to translate this man's book. Hold on a second, bear with me. So basically it will allow them to have something sound to fall back on and not worry about going out into the world and discovering things that out in the world that they don't understand, but it's better understood by us, right? So a warm place in our world turns out to be cold. As you know, right now, again, I just kind of fall back on some of what's going on around us. We want to make sure that when they're home, they're feeling welcome, because when they go and they see the many things that I spoke about 2 days ago, as far as drugs and alcohol and sex and all of these things, they're faced with all this confusion. And when there's no clarity, then they're looking back wondering, man, is this what I have to face when I get older? And we're in a different society with our children right now. Some of the things that they believe is much different than how we were brought up as adults. So they're not going to live in our standards, but we still have to make sure we're keeping them grounded to the point that they actually can establish something sound for themselves and not get lost and caught up in the world around us, right? So I'm going to refer back to his book here. I hope you guys are keeping up with me. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. I'm going to share a little story with you directly from his book. It says, I had some times when I've been with my friends and felt a little bad for some of them in a way that made me glad for some things that we do. Like once we had a kid that was bragging that he could stay out as late as he wanted to, and his parents didn't mind. Well, I was glad mine did. It sounds funny, but I felt glad for some rules because it meant that they cared about me. Or when friends ask their parents for money whenever they need it, it is nice in a way, but I usually have my own money that I've earned, and it will give me a confident feeling. So there was a time, I'll tell you a little story. My daughter came home one day. Hi, Kim, welcome. My daughter came home one day from school, and she said to me, Mommy, everybody was getting Christmas gifts, and one of the children at the school received a Christmas gift of a Land Rover. Okay. So I looked at her and I said, oh, that is very nice. And I explained to her, I said, here's what's going to happen. That child that received that Land Rover, unfortunately, for them, they're not going to understand how to make their way through life because things were handed to them. They did not get a chance to earn it. So when they grow up, they're going to feel that life should always be handed to them on a silver platter. So I said, never mind that, okay? The gifts that we give you, that's what you're going to have to work with right now. Never mind that, because later on in life, you're going to appreciate what we did for you versus what you see that these children that had, what should I say, they were granted greater things easier, right? They're going to struggle trying to figure out how to make it where you had to actually work for something, right? So never mind that. So in this case, that's what this short story was talking about, is that he was glad that his parent disciplined him, because at the time, I'm sure he didn't like the discipline, but later on when he grew up in life, he realized that that was a responsibility that he earned from his parents, and he was able to take it and add it to his own life. So basically, what this book, he mentioned that his last book that he had is Teaching Your Children Values, provided a long menu of methods parents could use to teach your children values such as honesty, self-reliance, dependability, respect, discipline, individuality. And those are many things that I speak on that is important for you to make sure that you ground and embed into your children, because as adult we won't be here long, but we want to make sure that when they're in this world that they're not basically just surviving, but they're living knowing that they've grown up with sound values that they can take and progress and use, especially for their children to come as well. So many readers now tell us that the method that they like the best, this is what his viewers like the best, is that they involve themselves with activities, family activities and exercises that gives them examples or show the values in action. You guys know that I always say that you can learn and listen to things all day long, but until you actually doing it yourself, that's when you're going to be able to wrap your arms around it and say, you know what, I really understand this, Donna. Really, really and truly understand this, because I was actually able to put it in action. And now I'm feeling it. I'm living the moment, right? So that's one of the best ways for them to learn. So that involves activities, family exercises that gives examples or shows of value in action. Stories or games or even preaching to kids may help them understand honesty, dependability, and loyalty. But it's when they learn by doing, by repenting for breaking a law, by working and earning and owning things, and by participating in services or ethics around oriented activities, that children really will internalize the values we want to teach them. So you have to get them, mix them into it, get them all dirty so that they are going through this themselves, and you're not just preaching to them. You talk to them all day long. They'll listen, they'll say, all right, mommy, I'll do this. And you go back and you ask them something to do, something that they did, and they say, and you're looking and you're going, okay, but that's not what we talked about. And you're doing the same thing over and over again. So put them in the action of it so that they can feel it and experience it, so that next time they go, they'll appreciate it better. You won't just be preaching to them, right? So as we travel and speak or sign books in bookstores, and this is coming directly from the author, readers of Teaching Your Children Values say that in the book you will talk about set of family laws that teach justice and decisions making and respect, but we need an outline exactly what the laws are and how they work. So we talked about understanding that you have to have sound laws in your family, right? But how does that work? How do you lay that foundation and be able to live by it and allow everyone in your household to function around it and get a nice flow going, right? So an outline of exactly what the laws are and how they work. Or you mentioned some family habits or patterns that encourages sexual abstinence or peer group courage or a more peaceful atmosphere in the home. But how do you actually establish these traditions and get them going in your family? And I'm going to share with you what he says, and we're going to be closing right after this. Hello, Apostle Perry. How are you? Thanks for joining. So this book is about these specifics and how to implement some basics, reoccurring patterns in your family that will help you teach your children values. I don't know how to tell you this, but if you have not been brought up on some form of values, then you're gonna have a struggle through life, because you're gonna fall back, and when you fall down, you're gonna just fall on nothing. You're gonna have nothing to fall back on. So teaching your children values is gonna be super, super essential. So the bottom line reason for the 3 steps is that they increase your children's chances to feel secure. As I mentioned, our children, they need security. They need to know that they have an invisible blanket around them, especially when they leave the household. Because one of the things that I found is when our children leave the house and they go out, other families may not necessarily be doing the same thing. So if you're not setting a sound foundation for them, and you go out and another family is doing something totally different, they're going to waver back and forth, like the Bible talks about, not wavering to and fro, right? And then they're not going to understand what's right from wrong, and they're going to automatically just get drawn into whatever it is that someone else is trying to tell them. Now, when you establish those sound values with them, they're going to go out and they're going to come back and say, you know what? No, that's not what my parents taught me. I think I'm going to hold off on that. No, I think, they'll start to second guess themselves when things being thrown at them. So they're not going to feel obligated to do things that other people are telling them. They have something sound to fall back on, right? So the bottom line reason for the 3 steps, because this book is going to share 3 steps on building a sound family, is that they increase children's chances to feel secure and be independent. We spoke on independence yesterday in the why number 2, right? I gave you a story yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to see it, go back and watch that live. I shared a story yesterday about a mom who was just so obsessive with organizing her home. Every single thing was in order. She had her children that she ran like soldiers in the army, right? But in the end, she was exhausted. And why? Because she took control of everything. She didn't give her children a chance to do it from themselves and make mistakes and learn from it. She wanted to do everything. So ultimately, it made her really tired, right? So that was not the right way to run and control your children, right? There's other ways of doing that. So basically, it would help to make your children more independent and, in short, be happy. And you know how I feel about that happy word. Happy is for things, right? I am a person that's for people, and you have to have that internal joy. So you want your child to have that internal joy that's going to surpass all understanding, just like the peace of God that's going to surpass all understanding. Your world could be crumbling around you, but when you have that internal joy, people will never understand what's keeping you moving. And that's exactly what it is, right? But you'll allow them to be more joyful. And regardless of the differences that exist between parents, the things that unite us all is that we want our children to be happy. We want our children to be joyful. So listen, guys, that's all I had for you tonight. I promised you that I would cover the 3 whys. That was actually the 3rd why. If this is not making sense, if you've joined me in the end of this live, I'm going to encourage you to go back 3 lives and just freshen yourself up on it, because you might be lost in the middle of all of this. But I will tell you that I'm speaking from Stephen Covey's book, The 3 Steps to a Strong Family. And I just felt led to do this because I know that a lot of us are basically in each other's faces right now. And because time is always the thing that people don't have, they're constantly saying, I don't have time. Well, guess what? You have all the time in the world now. So if you are, while you're at home, there's no better time than sitting down and just establishing a sound relationship with your family, with your children, laying some laws down that I just spoke about and some traditions in your family, and encouraging them to give you an idea of something that they want to do, and let them make the mistakes. Don't take control of what they're doing, so that you're allowing them to be decision makers, right? And you're allowing them to be able to fall and get back up and try it again, because that's how we were able to learn. So let us begin by establishing roles and responsibility. Give them chances to place these things in action. And I would say that if they're not doing it correctly, then you set some guidelines and some boundaries that they can go back on and say, listen, is that what we spoke about? How can we fix this so we can make sure it works better the next time? But do not preach to them and do not bark at them. Just be an encourager to them. But remember what I told you. Don't be their friend either, because if you become their friend, you're going to lose them. All right? And then as needed, set up action plans if you need to revisit something that they don't necessarily understand. So guys, that's all I had for you this evening. I will continue my series on this particular book from Stephen Covey, How to Build Strong Families. And now that we've moved to the 3 whys, we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts. And then we're going to go into specific segments in the book so you can understand how this works. If you have children, God bless you. This will be beneficial to you. If you don't have children, I'm sure you have nieces and nephews. So as we talk about the information, you're able to share it with them. So my name is Donna Sharp. I am with Holistic Wellbeing, and you can log on to my website, which is spelled like the whole person, WHOLELISTIC Wellbeing. The reason I name my business Whole is because I don't deal with a person in part. I like to deal with the whole person. And it starts with a lot of the expertise I've had over the past 30 years, teaching people how to foster a better mind, how to have the right nutrition so that you're taking care of your immune system, especially at a time like this, and how to physically keep yourself fit, because I've been teaching and training for 25 years in fitness. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm passionate about what I do. But you'll notice from time to time, I will speak on a subject that it goes outside a little bit of the areas that I got some of my lessons in, because I feel that that's what's going to make the person a whole person and a solid and found a solid person, right? So I'd like you to share this video if you like what you heard tonight with someone else. If you love what you heard, just click the love button. I don't like this thumbs up. I can't take this thumbs up. As you know, Facebook sometimes doesn't allow us to do anything different. But instead of you doing a thumbs up, I'd much rather you comment and let me know what your thoughts are, because I'm sharing some things with you, but it's nice to get some feedback so that I can find out how well this was able to assist you. Outside of that, I'll be back again here tomorrow, day 465, to continue the segment on creating a sound family. But I do pray, as I mentioned, that you guys had a fantastic day today and you're able to do some great things with the quality time that you now have. But on the last note, I'd like to share with you that if you had not gotten a chance to pray for the people that are around you and the families that are around you, there are so many people right now that their hearts are breaking. And I can't even fathom what they're going through right now. But the most that we could possibly do is stand firm and just pray in our quiet moments for them. Because I think one of the biggest things that's going to make this tough for a lot of these families is that they weren't able to see their loved one. They died alone and they weren't able to be there with them. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys as if that's not enough. I love all of you. Damon, thank you so much for joining. Okino, thank you for joining. And Michael Rose, a pleasure to meet you. I don't know that I've seen you on my live before. Welcome. Willie, thanks for joining. Andrea, thank you so much for joining. Kim, thanks for joining. And anyone else that may join later on, if you did, please type replay and watch the live all the way through. I know many of you are impatient. Watch it all the way through so you can gain a better understanding. All right, I love you guys. Have a fantastic Monday, and I'll see you back again here tomorrow evening. Ciao.